Hey Budget fam, it's Jordan from Jordan Budgets. Today we are talking about how to start a cash budget, or any budget really. I get the question all the time about where to start, what kind of categories do I need, what kind of things do I need to purchase for my budget. Let me tell you, you don't need to purchase anything. I do make a living off of selling cash budgeting things, but I want you to go into purchasing cash budgeting things like that you actually need. So before you look at my shop, before you look at anybody else's shop, you need to gather a few free things. Okay, are you ready? You need a free calendar. I just looked up January 2023 free PDF calendar, something like that. I looked that up on Google. Apparently General Blue has one. I'm just going to white out their name here. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not even sure what General Blue does, so good luck. Don't Google carelessly, I would not recommend that, but I just got this free calendar. I wanted to show you guys you don't need anything fancy to do this. So I have my blank January 2023 calendar here. I do have a calculator. You don't really need one if you have a phone. Your phone has one, but I do have one here. You need an assortment of highlighters or different colored pens if you have them. If you don't, just write in black and use crayon. You've got something, right? Just something to do some color coding because we are gonna do that. And then you need a way to pull up the past month's bills. Oh, maybe I should have started with that. It is at the end of January 2023 right now. You're jumping into February 2023. So you don't need the January 2023 specific calendar unless you're watching this video as it goes live. You need a calendar from the previous month. And you need a way to pull up all of your expenses from the previous month. Now I do cash budget. Currently, I have been using cash budgeting as a way to put money into sinking funds. My actual purchases like eating out and things like that have come off of a credit card and off of my main account. This is going to be a long video, so you might want to grab some kind of a drink because we're going to be here for a while. Or maybe you want to go ahead and pause this video and grab a calendar and grab somewhere where you can see your past expenses and you can do this along with me. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my expenses really quick. Like I said, I do have expenses coming out of my main banking account and I have a credit card that I use for different spending. Before I start diving into my specific purchases and needs this last month and writing on this, because we're just gonna do some general life chit-chatting as we tend to do here on this channel. But before I do that, I do want to talk about how to do this in case you're completely new with how to start cash budgeting or how to start budgeting in general. What we are doing is we're basically going back the last 30 days and we are going to fill this out and write on here every single expense we've had over this last month. The reason this is the best starting spot, in my opinion, is because it's really hard to make a cash budget if you don't really know what you're spending money on. For example, you might say, oh, I need a cash budget of $600 for groceries, when in reality you need $800 for groceries. Not pointing at myself or anything right here, but that is what has happened to me the last few months because I stopped tracking my spending. And so I'm getting back to it. I want to track my spending here. But you don't really know what kind of goals you need. And really, if you're brand new to budgeting in general, you won't even know what your categories are. I remember when I first started budgeting, before I started, backtracking expenses and paying attention to things, I didn't realize I was spending as much on homeschooling things for my boys until I really started tracking it. Same kind of thought even before that. I was spending a lot of money on clothes for them very randomly, and I didn't realize that was a category I had either. I mean, I knew my boys were wearing clothes, but I didn't think it was a big enough expense to put into a monthly budget, and at the time when I first started my budget, it was. The idea here is that you're gonna write all of your spending here, and you're gonna see me in this video do this. You're gonna write all of your spending down. You're going to categorize it out into different categories, and that's gonna give you a better idea to work with on what your categories are, maybe what kind of cash binder you want to create. It's also going to give you a good idea on what to make your goals. People ask me all the time also, they say, how do I know how much to budget for my different bills and things? That's not really something I can tell you because everybody's bills are so different. But if you start tracking your own bills and your own categories, you will know how much you typically spend and you'll know what kind of goals to set for yourself. For example, I tend to spend apparently about $800 per month on groceries. So a realistic goal for me might be to say, hey, I want to cut my groceries down to $750. Or I might say, we need more groceries in the home so that we will stop eating out as much, and I might up that grocery bill. We're going to talk about all that today, but I'm about to start chit-chatting about life as well. I didn't want anybody to get lost on like big picture what we're doing here because this video is going to be very chat heavy, and I'm going to update you guys on where I was last week. Let's start just by tracking income because that's going to be an easy one while I start chit-chatting here. and get this thing set up. So I am paid off of YouTube and Etsy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write down some of the general payments that I got in January. I have no idea what I made in January. I think in January I had a lower income than I have been having. Do I want to use pens or do I want to use highlighters? We're going to use our new erasable friction pens because if I need to erase something, that would be pretty handy. Ooh, can I multitask this well? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, change of plan, because I don't think you guys are going to be able to see that as well as if I write in black and then just highlight it. But we will go ahead and keep the payments just in the green, but the rest of it we're going to write in black and then highlight to color code. So far I've just written down the money that I had coming in for January. Now let's talk about January on a like personal level. January was such a hot mess month for me, and I'm just going to be totaling this up while we chat, but I slowly started to switch away from paper and pen products because I felt like I didn't have time to do paper and pen products. And so I was switching into all of these online documents and Google planners, and you know, just trying to switch over and be more time conscious, if you will. It did not work to my favor because I am very much a paper and pen girl, and I'm talking about with my planner, with my homeschool plans, with my budget. I need all of it to be paper and pen. I need all of it to be paper and pen because online, like, I will spend hours and hours and hours prepping a document and then I will never see it again. Like, it just gets lost on my computer. It's not literally lost. I just never go back to it. I don't go back to it, and that's on me. It's just not how I work. So what happened this last month is I stopped tracking budget. Like I said, everything. I stopped tracking all of it. So last week I kind of disappeared for a little bit, but it was literally because I had no idea what my budget was. I had no idea what my homeschool plan was for the week. I didn't know what kind of videos I wanted to put up online. And I still had all of these things organized elsewhere. Like, they were organized on my computer and all of these different documents and stuff, but I didn't have pen and paper for any of it. And I just felt so overwhelmed and so lost. Is this accurate? 15, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess this is right. Okay. So that's more than I thought. My income, and we're just going to do tracking down here. Like I said, you can use literally any planner sheet and just make it work. You don't need anything fancy. My income was $5,885 for the month of January. I guess that's about on par with past payments and past months. Now keep in mind, that seems like a big number, but included in this, I'm not going to write down business expenses. I'm not going to write down taxes. I'm not going to write down anything having to do with the business, but the business money needs to come out of this almost $6,000. So just keep that in mind. I'm not rolling as well as I would like to. And I honestly, going into this, I haven't done a video particularly like this because typically I have a good idea of what I've been spending and I've been keeping up with it. This is me genuinely figuring out what my budget was last month with you guys. So the idea with color coding is you're just making a specific color mean a specific category. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's make gray. Let's make gray our bills. And as you guys know, I try to pay all of my bills at the very start of the month so I don't have to worry about anything throughout the month. So I did put all of these categories on the first. Some of them I paid right before the first. Rent, for example, I tend to pay right around when my YouTube check pays, so that I just go ahead and get that over with. But just for the sake of showing you guys, January's bills, I paid all of them January 1st and 2nd, or right before. So rent, gas, car, power, AT&T, those are all bills that I have. And I highlighted them all gray. And then at the end of this, we will total our bills up, for example, and we will know how much our bills total. Let's go ahead and put a little color code up here. So gray is going to be bills. Let's make this yellow color our groceries. On Monday the 2nd, we spent $42 on groceries, and then on Friday the 6th, we spent $150 on groceries. So in this first week, we're already at $200 for groceries, which apparently is about how much I spend on groceries, but I did not know that until recently. I keep talking about getting my grocery bill down, and I'm starting to realize that this is just kind of the staple amount that I spend on groceries in a given week. Now, I did spend $82 on some bedding and a couple of things for the guinea pigs. We're gonna color that this bright purple color. I don't know what we're gonna make this yet. This might just be like an other category because I don't tend to spend a lot on the guinea pigs, and I don't even spend on them every single month for the bedding. I tend to buy, like I bought bedding in bulk. Next month I might buy hay in bulk. We won't categorize that just yet, but we're gonna make it purple. And then for our fast food, we're gonna make that blue. These colors really mean nothing. It's just a color that I'm picking. You can pick whatever way to color or categorize that you would like. I tend to make my income green, and then I tend to make my bills like one of the darker colors. I don't know why, and the rest of it's just kind of whatever I want at that moment. But I really love putting pen to paper this style versus, like I was saying, doing something virtually. It just works better for me, and I keep up with this a little bit better when I'm already like ready for it. For example, behind this January, I do already have February printed out. So for February, I will be tracking as February goes through instead of tracking in hindsight. Like I'll try to keep up with it a little bit better this month. I'm backtracking because, like I said, I tried the whole virtual thing. It did not work out. Okay, I skipped a category. I did spend $7 on Etsy. That was for a digital format, again, for like planning. I was trying to get in the digital age, but I did spend $70 in Etsy. So kind of an others category going on. Instead of taking this week by week, I'm just gonna go ahead and fill the rest of this out, come back to you guys so we can chat about it and total everything up. Okay, we are back. I have filled everything out. So the categories I ended up going with are bills, groceries, spending, meaning things I didn't necessarily need, but like I wanted, fast food, and then need. Both of my needs, oh, I miscategorized two things. Okay, those are funky colored, whatever. So let's go through my own spending, and I do want to talk about how I wrote these things down. So some of these things like Wendy's and McDonald's, Dunkin', I did call them out by name, but sometimes, and for the most part, I just put like groceries. I don't necessarily specify where I bought groceries. That is just a matter of preference. I don't think it's that important down the line though to know where I went to buy groceries. So I just put groceries instead of calling out specific places. I also don't write change down. I always just round up to the nearest dollar just to keep things a little bit more simple for me. Starting with bills, you can see I paid most of my bills on the 1st and the 2nd, like we just talked about. I do have Disney Plus, which I kind of consider a bill when I'm just tracking like this, so I wrote that down on the 21st. I paid $12. And then we started back our swim pass, which cost me $60 to get it back started. It will be $55 every single month. There's an indoor swimming place near me that we really like to go to. So I went ahead and started that back up this month. So that is back a new bill for me, or a bill that we're bringing back, if you will. Groceries, I did spend almost $200 that first week. The second week, I spent $68 on groceries. Third week in January, I spent $500 because I did a big haul from Sam's Club. I got a bit more snacks than I should have gotten, and a lot of you guys told me I should buy in bulk and then just put them in snack size Ziplocs. I'm gonna do that moving forward. I don't know why I didn't, but it did make our grocery bill the next week cheaper. So it was only $25 in groceries on the 23rd for that next week in January. And then I haven't bought anything yet. I think I need to do about a $50 little Walmart trip, and then I should be good for another week. So it was worth it to do a big haul from Sam's. I think I'm gonna keep doing that. We'll total out these numbers in just a second, but let's talk about my just sort of what I consider more frivolous spending, but I will say I'm not a huge spender. Like this isn't so terrible. I did spend, like I said, $82 on guinea pig things and then $7 on Etsy. I got a air purifier off of Amazon to put right next to the guinea pig cage. Air purifier, I put it down as like frivolous spending, but again, I kind of feel like I needed that. We did go to Tropic Falls at Owa, I think is how you say it. Alabama friends, am I getting that right? So in Alabama, there is a indoor water park. This was our first time going. We loved it. It's an indoor water park. It is a theme park kind of thing as well. We had a lot of fun, but we did spend $103 while we were there. And we went swimming over that weekend, and so we spent $30 just on little passes to a simple like indoor swimming spot, which honestly it was this trip that made me realize, okay, we just need to keep our swimming pass, because if we pay per trip, we are losing, like we're not saving any money. Homeschooling, like I said guys, this last week I did spend a lot of time replanning because I had switched everything to digital and then I got lost along the way this last month or so. I was MIA on YouTube because I was just doing so much planning. I was resetting up like how I want to start tracking my budget. I was resetting up what we're doing with homeschool and setting up homeschool binders. as well as just taking a break. YouTube is fun, Etsy is fun, but sometimes it's nice just to step away. Honestly, in a year, I don't think I've just stepped away from YouTube for a full week like I did. Felt amazing. I love you guys, but I feel so happy to be back after that little like a refresher, if you will. Anyway, during that week of planning this last week, I did spend $136 on homeschool things. I'm going to put out a video pretty soon that is like a mid-year check-in for our homeschooling journey. So I will be talking about what we purchased and what we're using now. I don't know if I talked about this a second ago, but I did spend $39 on Valentine's things and then $82 on Valentine's. I'm putting together a really cute little gift for a lot of the boys' friends, so it was not necessary, but I really wanted to do it anyway, so I did. And then I have $19 in nail things from Dashing Diva. If you guys don't know, my nails are always from Dashing Diva, at least right now. It's just like nail stickers. And for $19, I can buy basically 3 kits to get me through a full month. We'll always put either a glittery top coat or a clear top coat. This makes them stay a little bit longer. But basically I spend about $20 on nails, so I did that this month just like I normally do. Doctor, I don't know if I said it, but I did spend $233 on a doctor visit for myself in the middle of the month. And then this week I spent $380 on a doctor visit for myself. I don't know if you guys can see that. Gas for the car, I had a couple of trips in the middle of the month. That is because we went out of town and I drove to Tropic Falls, to that water park. And then the next week I put $60 in. My current car holds so much more gas than my previous car. I should only need to put about $120 in the car as long as we're not traveling out of state. But we did travel out of state in January, which is why it was a little bit more expensive. So let me go ahead and total up these categories so I can tell you guys, at least for the month of January, what I spent on each category. So total for my bills, I spent $2,029. Groceries, I spent $785, which is about what I expected. I didn't have that totaled out exactly, but that's kind of what I thought it was. Spending, which I'm considering like our travel out of town, I'm considering that spending in this as well. We spent $548. Fast food, I have our fast food at $60. I think there's a trip or two that we are missing out of here because that is ridiculously low, but maybe we did. I do feel like we ate out a lot less than we normally do, so maybe that's accurate. I don't know. I feel like we might have spent cash on a couple of trips and I just don't have that, but I don't know. $60 for fast food, definitely had a better month with fast food than normal, so I feel like buying the groceries was worth it. Our needs, which are just the 2 doctor visits, are $613. So I could total this out and tell you exactly what I spent this month. I don't think it's super necessary because, again, my income definitely did cover it this month, and you guys aren't seeing my business budget side. I feel like one of these days I'm going to have it together enough to where I can do one of these for my actual spending for myself, and then I will also like have another one and we could talk about my business expenses as well. We will do that one of these days, but for now I just wanted you guys to see basics of how I break down spending. You might have categories that I don't have, or you might decide to do this, break these categories up a little bit more. You also might want to break down spending. So instead of just having a general spending category, you might want to say like vacation or trips money, because I do have a trip in here. And then you might want to say, you know, how much you spend on Etsy versus how much you spend on Amazon. I don't break all that up. I like to keep it a little bit more simple. The reason doing this is important is because sometimes when you are overspending, there we go. So you guys can see me again. Sometimes we feel like we're overspending though, and it's nice to see where it's coming from. So say my spending was $548. I don't think that's too bad. But if we would have done this and my spending was $1,000 or even $2,000, I could say, okay, Jordan, $2,000 is the total amount of your bills. You're overspending on some things, and I could kind of try to cut costs. But the reason this is a perfect first step, and in my opinion, a necessary first step, is because you're not going to know where you need to cut costs. You're not going to know where you need to funnel more money into unless you really know what your priorities are and what your spending is. I have been saying for the longest time that I've got to cut groceries down. I've got to cut groceries down. And I'm really just kind of realizing, because of tracking and because of doing this kind of thing, I'm realizing that $800 is about what I actually need if I want to be able to keep feeding my kids the way that we currently eat. And I'm finding if I cut down groceries too much, then our fast food category shoots way up, and I don't really want to do that either. So to answer the question that I get all the time, where do I start with cash budgeting? What do I need to do? You need to print out just a simple calendar like this, and you need to do exactly this. Track your income, track your spending. If you really can't get any of this down, or if none of this surprises you when you're tracking it and writing it, then maybe your income needs to increase, which is a whole other conversation, and I understand, easier said than done, but I did want to just make this video since I needed to do this for myself anyway. I wanted to show you guys the absolute first step is to know where your budget sits, which is why we did this. Let me know what you guys think about seeing me keep up with February. Maybe week by week we can really do this together and talk about my spending and talk about some of my goals and things. Let me know what you think about that. But for this video, that is it. As always, I love you, I appreciate you, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.